Hi, welcome back to Elite Literary Book Group. I'm Rachel Beck, and today I want to talk about Kipling's If poem. And I will read it and I'll discuss it the way that I would discuss it in class, and then comment on why I think this is important to study. So you can always skip that part if you want. But anyways, it does hold a lot of secrets to life in just this poem, this one poem. So I usually give it to students and then I tell them that they should keep it and hang on to it for the rest of their life because they're going to need it. So here it is. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Okay, and then usually I get a little teary-eyed and then I have to like calm down. But it's a very inspirational poem, and I think that's what the big component that we're missing in teaching is that we really are not able to teach anything, no matter what your strategies, no matter what your, education degree says. What you're doing is you're inspiring others to want to learn. That's the missing component, which is the most important. And so if you ask someone who's in education and they say something like, we only study literature to study skills, then what you're saying is that all this poem has to offer you is to maybe see the repetition. And then we wonder why kids are bored. And it's not because they need more tasks to do, or we need more projects where their mom has to go to Hobby Lobby after she makes dinner. And then you look around and the administrator goes, oh wow, you really did something here. No, mom did. And she's tired of doing it. And the kid's bored. So my suggestion is to do something that actually elevates thought, something that actually engages the mind and the curiosity. And all of that is from inspiration, and everyone has it. But we are not doing a good job in tapping into it. So here's what I would say. First of all, I would ask the kids about, what do you think he means about, not looking too good or too wise? It seems to, contradict what people expect of you. And what we start to come to is that the vision that people, the idea that people have of you is typically, to me, pretty limited. I think that if you follow other people's expectations, you're not going to follow your potential. That would be my theory. But notice that when people are blaming you and doubting you, that he says to make allowances for their doubting too. There's not an expectation that that I'm going to get everyone's approval. And that's okay. It really is. And you have to realize that even though people are going to criticize you for not being enough, we hear that a lot lately, they're also not going to like you if you're really good. Because they may have to make you look small so they can look better. I don't know why people operate that way, they just do. And so, but when you're aware of it, and you start realizing that maybe I should detach myself from this constant bucket of winners and losers, whether you sit at this table or that table. And that doesn't change after, your own high school experience. You see it again and again. And it's still operating at a very low level, just like education operating at a very low level. Standardized testing where we have scores for this or that. It's not inspiring people to want to be lifelong learners. It's thinking, once I get out of here, I am never going back. That's what's happening, and that's what we allowed to happen, because we don't have people who can make these higher inferences and figure out that we have to make it more meaningful. And so dreaming and not making dreams your master, and thinking but not making the thoughts your aim, and being able to meet the triumph and disaster. Why both triumph and disaster? You would think if it's triumph, it would be good. But what happens is, whether you feel like you're being praised, there's a lethal side to one's ego, and you lose that hunger. If you think you're too good, then you may not run that race very well. And if people don't encourage you, you may not do it at all. And I think the real answer here is just to detach yourself from people as much as you can, because they are going, you see how they keep controlling this. And what does he suggest? And I'm not talking about not loving and not caring, because that's not it. It's just not being on that level. To be able to be higher, to be able to have higher thoughts and be on an upper level, raising your consciousness to where you're not completely acting out of ego. And you have to recognize when other people want you to behave a certain way because they've made you an extension of their ego. In trying to write a screenplay, I was watching some videos on this, and the professor was talking about how the protagonist has to move from identity to essence. That whatever you see the character in the beginning, basically like Shakespeare, he's playing a role, and that's life. Life's a stage. When he passes through something that's difficult, or kind of the dark night of the soul or something like that, he finds something that wasn't there before, and it's transforming, right? And so, going back to education, this is the type of discussion that students, they want to have. That I'm not just saying that. They do. They light up when they talk about this. Because why? Because they're going through identity crisis. They're trying to figure out who they are. And they have it worse in some ways because they have social media, because they're dependent so heavily on what they think the whole world thinks, and everyone's watching them. It creates a lot of anxiety. So the more they realize that they can psychologically figure themselves out, the more they're going to be interested in reading. But there has to be a discussion. Otherwise, there's no point. A test is not strong enough motive. Especially a test like a standardized test that does nothing for students. All it does is get money for schools, money for politicians. That's it. We make everyone suffer because of that. But that's a Tolkien lesson right there. It's all about greed. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And we have also, with Elite Literary Book Group, we've partnered with File 9, which is a nonprofit for teachers. But what the movement behind File 9 is really trying to do in the end is show legislators that we're missing the forest for the trees. And I'm going to be working mainly on the English end, but it would be nice to have other teachers in different disciplines like math and science or even history to give us, some stories and some examples of what are we missing. Like, for instance, just a short comment I saw, and this is very common, someone was asking new teacher, when are we going to, I think it was when are we going to go over the French Revolution? And the response was, well, it's not tested, so it's okay. There's so many gaps, and I'm reading The Knowledge Gap right now, and I plan on writing a blog about it. But any other ideas, if you'll just contact us through Elite Literary Book Group. My courses are on Udemy. If you want a full course on a novel I've been working on, it takes a long time to make these videos. They're like 5 hours of explaining the book. But it's at an AP level. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but either homeschoolers or if you're a teacher and you're new to AP and you now have to read all these books and you don't have time to do it as well and need some extra help, then I've done a lot of the groundwork, a lot of the legwork. I read the biography, I look at the history, I look at everything and contextualize it for you. So there's that. So please subscribe and get in touch with us. Thanks. Bye.